Just a Stats, Reggie Johnson, Eugene Morgan coming to you from the lovely city of Atlanta, Georgia. And getting right into this, the stat we're going to go with is 8,926, and it's passing yards and 74 passing touchdowns. And that is for Baker Mayfield, which is the most in the regular season since 2023 for any quarterback. Is that we're looking at that right here as we're looking at that on the screen here?
Yeah.
Eugene, because I don't think because when there's some nice. So Patrick Mahomes is on the list. It's a graphic here. Or Josh Allen is from CBS Sports. Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. Those are some pretty big names, right? I mean, you would think out of all those guys that the guy with the most yards wouldn't be Baker Mayfield, right?
No, you would never. I mean, just when I saw that, and it was like, there's no way. I had to like look at it, or like and just like freak. I was like, really? But it's him. You can't argue with that. Now with Joe, I mean, Joe, we know he's been injuries.
Joe had an injury, right?
Injuries, right. But I mean, his numbers might be, they would be like in the 8s, like with other guys, but that's still impressive no matter what you're looking at there.
Yeah, and another impressive stat here is the passing touchdown, 74. That's to the next closest person on the list is Lamar Jackson with 71. This is since 2023, so we're looking at a couple of years here or so. 60 for Joe Burrow, 59 for Josh Allen, and 55 for Patrick Mahomes. 55 for Patrick Mahomes seems pretty low, man, but he's just out there winning Super Bowls, man. That's all he's doing. But what do you think about that? I mean, that's almost 20 more than Patrick Mahomes over the same span of time.
Well, I mean, I know we're going to get into the Chiefs later on, but I mean, let's face it though. Baker has had better weapons in Tampa Bay. I mean, he's had some good weapons.
Not happy with the worthies of the world, is what you're saying. Like exactly. It's not exactly Chris Godwin and Mike Evans out there, is what you're saying.
Chris Godwin, and then they got Ibuka. They just drafted
who I like a lot, by the way.
Right. So I mean, and let's look at their running backs too. So they've done that. They've gotten good. I mean, I love their running backs, but again, they haven't been able to hit like they have, like the Tampa Bay has on the running back side with Bucky, and you have Ibuka who can kind of fill in for that role while Godwin is out, right? He can take over that spot. Well, okay, we're gonna wait for Godwin, and you have Bucky if you're picking, if he's not your RB1, right? But he's your RB2 if you're in fantasy, or maybe a flex. But yeah, they have Kareem Hunt still in Kansas City. That was one of their. I didn't realize he was still playing. So that's one of their backup running backs. And was it Pikachi? I'm gonna pronounce his name, so I'm gonna butcher it, but he's a small running back, and injuries are going to catch up with guys like that. So they've done a good job of building weapons around Brett Baker. So I mean, that's why you're going to see the difference, and that's the only difference on this stat. I mean, on this graphic, the only guy who's won a Super Bowl is Patrick on this one with less weapons. So yeah,
that's true, because you got Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, all this is, and they're all are elite quarterbacks. And I think this list is just showcasing how Baker belongs in this conversation with these guys, even though he's not in it a lot. And also, when you look at the statistics, because on the particular graphic that we're using, this passing yards, because the passing yards for all 5 of these quarterbacks, the passing touchdowns for all 5 of these quarterbacks, the completion percentage, the rating, and the record for all 5. Okay. What is interesting is when you're looking at all 5 of these stats, only Baker and Lamar hold 2 of them. Baker holds passing yards and passing touchdowns, and Lamar holds rating and record. It's interesting.
Yeah,
it's interesting. I mean, is it time for Baker to begin talked about like this? Like, you think this? I mean, I don't know if he will ever be looked at the same way, to be honest with you, because when you think about these other guys, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, would you, if you're these guys and you're these teams, would you ever think about trading the guy you had for Baker? I don't think you ever would think about it.
Oh, like of the Chiefs or Bills. No,
Correct.
because they have their guy. Those are their guys. But
would you or Tampa Bay, would you trade Baker for Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, or Lamar Jackson?
I mean,
the Chiefs call you up. They say, hey, we got Patrick Mahomes available. All we want is Baker. We'll do a straight up trade. Yeah. I think Baker's out of there. I got to say, I think Baker's out of there with any of these guys.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's an easy call. Like, it's not going to be hard.
So if that's the case, can you really get mentioned with the guy, Eugene? Like, can you really be mentioned? The statistics say you should. And you know we love statistics on this show, but statistics don't tell the whole story. They don't tell the whole story. Should he be mentioned?
I mean, he's got.
Even though you would not think about trading any. I mean, you could argue that you could replace Baker with Jalen Hurts here. I don't know if the Eagles would give up Jalen Hurts for Baker.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good one. I mean, I don't know. Jalen, I think are they kind of the same quarterback? Would you think? Both are athletic.
Ah, man, I just have a hard time thinking that you're going to be running that tush push with Baker all the time, man.
True. I mean, that's a good point, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's a fascinating one, but I mean, it's just amazing to see when you're looking at this. You would never go, oh, Baker's in this conversation just from the. I mean, and maybe it's the back. Just the backstory, like Patrick, Josh, Joe, and Lamar have grown into their teams, right? Even Jalen, was a second round pick, and he grew into with his team. Baker's had
all these other players picked by their team too,
right? Picked by their teams, they're with their teams exactly. And Baker was with Cleveland, with Carolina, with the Rams until he got to this with Tampa Bay. So. It's hard to, it's you're almost looking like with like the rose-colored glasses, right? But it's hard to look at it. I mean, what would happen if he would have been with the team from the beginning? Without, I mean, I know they had Tom Brady. I'm not going to besmirch that, but just say what happens if Tampa Bay takes him and they did everything that they're doing now with him. Would he be the same? Would we be having a different conversation?
I think that you brought up a good point because the fact that he has been moved around to other teams can degrade the perception a bit, I think. Because when you think about these other quarterbacks, these teams wouldn't think about trading them. They wouldn't even in their wildest dreams trade any of these guys. So the fact that Baker's had it happen to him twice.
Right.
Doesn't look good. You know what I mean? It doesn't look good, but he did have that shoulder injury. He was successful in Cleveland, and as we were talking about before the show, Carolina and Cleveland, they're not looking better than Baker has looked.
No, absolutely not.
And if that's the case, they're kind of looking for a they're looking for a Baker Mayfield now on those teams.
Right.
that's they're looking for a guy
looking for anything.
Put it up like this. And if nothing else, I'm not going to say that I think that he has reached like he's elite status because it's hard to say that when you don't. I think an elite quarterback is one where you could think about trading him for another elite quarterback. They're in MVP conversations. You could think about trading them for each other. When you look at who these quarterbacks are in this particular graphic, and with Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson, I don't think these teams would even. They're not taking phone calls on these guys,
No.
So maybe warrants more respect, if nothing else, and attention. I think if nothing else too, because that's not to say that he can't reach it. If he continues this, how can he not? Like if he goes for another 2 years, right? Let's say he goes for another 2 years and puts up another 60 touchdowns, and he's at 134. Over that span. That's going to be a pretty decent pace. It's going to be a lot of touchdowns from the guy.
Right.
So I think that'll be, if nothing else, interesting to watch. But for me personally, very hard to call elite at the moment. The guys in the graphic are cut above, but I think that Baker's numbers are impressive, if nothing
Yeah,
else.
yeah, because if you cut Baker from this graphic, you got Patrick, Josh, Joe, Lamar. You're penciling in 10 wins right away, right? You have 10 wins right there. You have that right there. With Baker, it's still with Baker. You have a gamer. That's the thing. I think that's your difference right there. You have a gamer. You have a guy who's going to be competitive. Like if you have 2 minutes left on the clock, you're scared. You don't know what's going to happen. Now he could go down and throw the interception, but it's or he could go down and win the game for you. But I think the thing that's happening now with Baker, he's going in now, winning the game versus going down and throwing that interception that you were scared of in his past. So, that's a great point. If he, like I said, he goes to maybe he goes to conference championship, maybe he takes the team Super Bowl. I think that's when
you would have to probably do that, right? To be really start being
at least
with
conference
these guys.
champion, right? At least take them to the NFC conference championship. We get them. I mean, I know everyone is kind of penciling them in to kind of be either them or like the Packers. As like I know they're like the heart favorites to be kind of the Super Bowl. I mean, other than Philadelphia, but yeah, if he gets into that, I think then we start kind of having that conversation. Because here's the crazy thing: he's 30 years old. It's not like he's older than all these guys on this.
No,
graphic.
and he can go for another 4 or 5, man, easy, right?
Right.
And then I think in prime status with the way they're protecting QBs now.
Exactly, and here's the thing, right? And then that's the thing: he's with a smart organization. They know how to build. They know They know it's like, hey, they're going to build, more on the outside. They're going to build line out, and if they have more of that athletic quarterback, maybe they cut corners on the offensive line. Not saying they're not going to protect him, but they know they have a guy that can get out of the pocket and run. And that's the thing with Baker. He doesn't need like that line. Like Josh does not need a line. Patrick, now he's getting older. He doesn't run as much, so he needs more of that line. And you can see that's why Kansas City put more money in the offensive line, because they want to protect him more, because they want him to stay in the pocket. Lamar, different story, right? You don't have to shell out a lot of money for your offensive line, because dude's going to get out of the pocket. If you rush him, he's going to go. He's going to, or if you rush 8 guys, he knows someone's open, he's going to throw the ball down the field. So,
right.
As I think with Baker, it's just an interesting. When you see that graphic, you would never just like, oh, in your head think that's where it's at. But I think
if you were to have this like a blind situation, and you were saying to ask which of these QBs had the most passing yards and the most passing touchdowns, I don't think a lot of people will guess it would be Baker over these guys.
No, exactly. So that's where we, like you said, over the next few years, if he gets to that conference championship, takes Tampa Bay Super Bowl, I think that's where you're going. Okay, now he's in more of that conversation. I think he like you said, where you have him in the graphic, he's kind of on the fringe. I know his stats look good, but if he gets the MVPs, the wins more playoff games, because
the Super Bowls, right? Because that's what these other guys are going to have. MVPs, Super Bowls, nothing else. Super Bowl appearances,
Yeah, right. So. And again, if he gets more and like wins the playoff game, goes to the conference championship games, now he's in that Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson conversation, right? Because those guys, they've been on that doorstep too. So if he's on the doorstep, then I think you have to like start including him into that conversation of your elite quarterbacks.